Hi everybody. It's time for another update. I have just finished the first 3 weeks of my trial on the cancer drug BGB 15025, for that is its name. And it's sort of gone well. I am the second person in the world to have a dose at 60 milligrams of this particular drug, and the fourth person in the world overall. The first two people had dosages of 20 milligrams, and mine, as I just said, was 60 milligrams. Their target goal, from what I believe I know, is 400 milligrams, so there's still a long way to go. It all went fairly well for a few days, a week or so, 10 days maybe what it was. And then I went blind in my right eye for a little while. I was just sitting at my little desk, and suddenly I realized that my vision, my right eye, just wasn't right. So I was doing this and trying to figure out what was going on. And the end result was that I had lost the vision in the top half of my right eye. So I did a little experiment like this, and I brought my hand down, brought my hand down, still could, and there I could suddenly see my hand. So like the top half of my vision was just gone. And that's a bit odd. I've never had that before. And also, I've never had BGP 15025 before. Coincidence? Maybe, don't know. So people swung into action. And I went and visited various eye clinics and neurologists and oncologists, and they all, well, the initial thinking was, you've had what's called a mini stroke. And these are not entirely uncommon, but you're very lucky if you get one in your eyeball because you can see it. What the theory was that there was a blockage in the arteries feeding my eye, and that was why the vision disappeared, because the blood flow stopped working and the eye stopped working. And if you get one of those in your brain or in your heart or various other places, awful things can happen. You can end up having a stroke, which is why this is a mini stroke. So they fire up the CT scanner. This is actually just before a long weekend, and there was no coverage, so they admitted me for a day. I stayed overnight in hospital, simply so they had access, or I had access to a CT scanner, which was a bit wild. But anyway, I had my night in hospital, and I visited the CT scanner at 9 o'clock at night, and they scanned through here, which is, there's a whole pile of major arteries that run through your throat. And apparently, if you look at them through a CT scanner, you can see evidence of build-up that may have occurred that would indicate that you either have had a stroke. They can see that you have likely had a stroke, and they can also see if you're likely to have a stroke because you've got this build-up. They didn't see anything. So then, about a few days later, I was sent into an MRI scanner, which has finer resolution. So we did that for 45 minutes. 45 minutes in an MRI scanner starts getting a bit much. I don't really have a problem with enclosed spaces, and I haven't had a problem with MRI scanners, but this one went on a bit long and was getting a bit hot and sweaty in there. But anyway, that was fine. I could watch a Netflix documentary through mirrors. It was interesting. So the MRI scanner didn't show anything either. I had a number of eye tests, including one called I had a bit of paper, and I've now lost it. It was like a fluoro something or other. They injected this cool dye into me, and apparently within 5 seconds it goes from being injected and it starts appearing in the blood vessels and veins in the eyes, and then they hooked me up to this super fast camera. So my eyeballs were looking into a camera, and they were taking high-speed photos of my eye as the dye was moving into it, and so they could see how it spread through, and they were seeing what the blood flow was like through my eye by watching this dye, which was pretty cool and made me pee neon dye. I've peed neon dye before because sunitinib did that to me as well, but this stuff was unbelievable. It was just the most neon. And I have a photo, but I'm not going to show you. So then went off the sunitinib. I went off the BGP 15025 for more than a week while we tried to figure out what was going on and if the drug was related to the incident. So as of a couple of days ago, all the experts everywhere have decided that I may or may not have had a mini stroke, but that whatever it wasn't related to the BGP 15025. So I'm back on it again. This is important because I want to be taking the drug, because if it has positive side effects, like it makes my cancer go away, well, that's only going to happen if I take the frickin' drug, right? So I've now started the second cycle of the trial. So the next 3 weeks is the second trial, where I will be taking 60 milligrams a day. And at the end of this 3-week period, we will then have a CT scan that has a good look at my my tumours to see if they're the same or if they've been reduced or, God forbid, they're much worse. I get the impression that they will then take me off the trial and I will just start using a Chinese drug that has been banned everywhere except for in China and apparently New Zealand. I can't remember exactly, Tislelizumab, something like Tislelizumab. The doctors themselves just call it Tizzy. It's another immunotherapy drug. It's meant to be quite good, and that's the thing that might actually help me. But in the meantime, here's hoping I don't go blind again or have a full-on stroke, because I don't want to have a full-on stroke. My grandfather's neighbour across the road had a stroke. I knew him before the stroke, and I knew him after the stroke, and he was a much happier man before the stroke, I can tell you that much. So, see you guys.